Hey there, friend. If you're watching this, it's likely that you just graduated from nursing school, which first of all, huge congratulations. Nursing school is an absolute beast. And you did it. It's kind of a useless beast, but you did it. And you should feel insanely, insanely proud. And if you're watching this in real time when it comes out, you just graduated nursing school after attending a big chunk of it, probably online, during a pandemic. And that just takes so much adaptability and perseverance. And I hope you've given yourself an enormous pat on the back for getting to this point. Honestly, no matter what, whenever you took nursing school, because again, nursing school is, it's the worst. Now, if you are anything like my past nursing school self, you are probably feeling a little bit lost, a little bit happy, a little bit like it doesn't even count that you really graduated because you still need to actually take the NCLEX, and that is terrifying. And a dash of realizing that you don't really think you learned anything in nursing school, and a lot of like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can actually like do this. And you're probably still finding yourself even thinking like, oh, I'm missing an assignment, like there's something I need to be doing, even though assignments don't really exist anymore. And spoiler, this will never go away, ever. You will, 10 years later, find yourself having nightmares about having midterms and assignments due. So please enjoy that. You also probably feel a little bit like you're the only one feeling like this, and that all of your peers out there are like, watch out world, I'm gonna save everyone's lives, like go get 'em team. But let me tell you something. Everyone portrays that on Instagram, but in reality, what you are feeling, you are not alone. In feeling all of those things, and I absolutely promise it's normal, and you can do this. If you need a little bit more reassurance, some tips for this whole transition period as a new grad nurse, and that's okay. I totally get it. Now let's just sit down and have a little chat. Hello there. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Liz. I am a family nurse practitioner now, but almost a decade ago, I was you. I didn't have a nursing job lined up yet. I hadn't passed the NCLEX, and I was still super convinced that the school didn't really understand what they were doing when they let me graduate. I had killed simulation mannequins, like as if I was in assassin school instead of nursing school, and I lived in absolute terror of the upcoming time when I was going to be in charge of someone who was like losing their blood pressure and trying to die. The confidence that I had sort of gained up and felt towards the end of nursing school when you feel really invincible, that had completely vanished. And the reality of, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in charge of humans had set in, and I was anxious and completely terrified. So if you are feeling that too, I promise it will get better, and I promise you are not alone. Now, how do I know you aren't alone? Because one of the most common messages that I get on here and over on Instagram, and what new nurses have told me throughout the years when I precepted them, were things like we just talked about. They were not feeling ready. They were questioning all of their life choices that had brought them to this point, and they were so incredibly overwhelmed. So let's start our whole little pep talk sesh / venting session, whatever this is, there, and tackling that feeling. So you don't feel ready. And my friends, honestly, that is totally okay, totally normal. I don't think I've ever met, well, I've met some, but most nurses that I meet, when they're new, they're just not ready. But I have watched countless new nurses who were terrified, who didn't feel like they were enough, go on to become phenomenal nurses. Because here's a little secret. Nursing school is useless. No, not useless. It just doesn't prepare you to pop out onto a unit or into an office and start performing a flawless job as a nurse. It honestly really doesn't prepare you at all for your future role as a nurse, like super tangibly step to step. So if you're feeling super unprepared, it's because you are, and that is not your fault. It's a nursing school issue, and that is a tangent that we will go on a whole nother day. But I just really want you to know that you did nothing wrong here. It's not like you missed the main point. The whole system is honestly just made to make you feel this way. Fortunately, jobs know this. Your job that you get will train you for the duties and the responsibilities that you will be doing on that unit or that office, whatever it is. And I promise you've retained a lot more information than you think you have. If you graduated, I guarantee you that you've at least learned quite a few things. And now you just need to organize all of those things that are like floating up in your head into actionable knowledge and sandwich them together, which is exactly what you will do on your job training and throughout your first year or so as a nurse. So while it's likely true that you are not prepared right now, you are prepared to be trained, if that makes sense. The foundation's there, and you will learn so much faster than you can imagine because that base level of knowledge is already there and you just have to build on it. So now we have arrived at our first tip, and I wanted to tell you to really embrace the concept that you don't know what you're doing, and don't let that whole feeling like that concept go, okay? And that probably sounds backwards, but it's going to make you a safe and super competent nurse. That attitude of not knowing will prompt you to ask questions, seek clarifications, go and grab a buddy and bring them with you into all of those situations that you are not quite 100% confident in yet. You'll be open to learning from a variety of people, and you will gain such a well-balanced understanding of your patient population and their needs that way by just asking a ton of questions. The new nurses that made me the most nervous were the ones who came onto the unit and thought they were like God's gift to the unit, that they knew everything and they were not feeling the terror that you might currently be feeling because they thought they knew everything. And because they didn't even know what they didn't know and they didn't ask the questions, that is when mistakes happened. And that is what made me truly scared. So even though you won't always feel this nervous, I hope you stay connected to that twinge of, oh, like I might be in over my head here, and ask for help to get you out of that situation or to help you through it, because that will make you a safe nurse and will serve you super duper well on this lifelong learning adventure. I still, to this day, I get that feeling all the time, and I hate it, honestly, because every time I feel it, I'm like, I get that whole insecurity and competence thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm not enough. But when I'm able to kind of get over that hump mentally and I go and ask questions, I always learn something that I can take with me for next time, and that is exactly what will happen for you too. So no more worrying about not knowing enough yet, okay? Because you are not supposed to, your job will teach you, and you are not alone. Now, I am going to project my past worries onto you. Hopefully we already share the same concerns and worries, and if not, well, I've just given you some new things to worry about. Congratulations. Aren't you glad you're here? Jobs. Should we talk about jobs? I had a lot of insecurities about jobs. So if those are the things that are supposed to teach you and train you, what about the fact that you might not have one yet and you probably feel like you never will? Well, you're gonna get a job, friend, I promise. No, it doesn't feel like it, but you will. You may have to apply to a bunch, but you will get a job, okay? Repeat after me. I will get a job. Just keep applying. And if you don't get offered your dream job, unpopular opinion, but that is absolutely fine. To take one that can get you one step closer to your dream. When I graduated, desperately wanted to work in pediatrics, but I also was the primary income earner in my marriage, and I needed to have a job so that we could have somewhere to live and to pay off these enormous loans that I had just acquired. And I couldn't spend months and months and months looking for a different job. My coffee shop job wasn't just gonna cut it. So I applied for all the peds jobs I could find, as well as other ones that I thought would at least get me into the right health system that had the peds hospital with it. And eventually I did get a job. It took many, like we are talking over 100 applications, but still I got a job on a med-surg unit. Was it my dream job? No, but it allowed me to internally transfer a few years later over to the peds hospital, and it gave me a crap ton of experience that has really benefited me to this day and ended up making me an FNP, ironically. So please do not feel like you immediately need to land your dream job. Not that you can't, by all means. You can, if you can land that, that's awesome. But if your first job isn't what you thought it would be, or you get a different job than you had hoped, or you realize that you got your dream job, but it's actually not your dream job, it's okay. You have so many years to figure out where you kind of want to be in the vast world of nursing. So just learn what you can while you are there. And then if it's not for you, then you can just bounce as soon as it's appropriate and your contract's up. So in terms of getting a job, actual tips for interviews and questions to ask and all those things, new grads, I have quite a few videos that I'll leave linked down below that go over those topics. And I'll also leave my favorite templates, resume templates that I've bought, along with cover letter templates that I bought from the Resume RX and that I personally use. They look lovely. They are super easy to read, and they make you stand out a little bit on paper if there's a ton of resumes. I have a discount code for 20% off of those. It's just Nurselizyt. They're very affordable and worth their weight in gold, because literally all you do is you take the resume template and you plug and play your information into it. No thought required. Another cool thing about those is it tells you what to actually put on your application. They have ones for like new grads so that you'll see like, oh, how much of this history should I even be putting on here from school? All of that, you can just kind of put your info in, and they're excellent. I'll also link a resource down there from the Resume RX that walks you through the entire process of graduating from nursing school, resume writing, how to apply, tips for landing a job, even your dream job, and tips for interviewing, and all of those things. She is Amanda. Amanda is a phenomenal resource, and I just cannot recommend her enough. I'll leave all of her details and all of that down below. Okay. So now that we have established that you will not be freaking out over not getting a job or not immediately landing your dream job, we should spend some time talking about the NCLEX. Because friends, you need to just take the dumb thing as soon as you can. And if you don't pass, please know that this is no indication of the type of nurse that you are or will become. The NCLEX is a really, really dumb test that in no way measures how competent you are as a nurse. It also heavily favors people who are really good at tests. Not so good at nursing, but really good at tests. So this is one that you are just going to need to get through. I have a video of how I studied for the NCLEX, and then I go over how I did it and then how you should do it, because those are not the same. Do not be the studier that I was about this NCLEX things, friends. I am a mess in that respect. You won't be a mess. You will do great. You will study, you will prepare, and all I really have to say about this is just get it over with. Don't put it off. Yay. And the final thing I like to touch on is that lovely nagging feeling that you might have of, I am not good enough to do this. And you may have these feelings, and if you do, then you have your very own imposter syndrome. I too have one. Sometimes she is louder than other times, but when she is loud, she is really, really hard to ignore. And if your imposter syndrome is yelling at you that you did not deserve to graduate and you are not the person for this career, I want you to remember all of the things you've accomplished to get here. This is not a destination that you arrived at suddenly with graduating. It has been years and years, and you've probably overcome countless obstacles. You've probably failed and picked yourself back up again, learned from the situation, and improved on it the next time. You have learned so many things. You have done hard things, and this is just a new hard thing, and you can do hard things. And how do I know that? Because you have already done so many hard things to get here. But I fully admit it can be really hard to remember all the hard things you've done because your inner confidence doesn't usually yell as loud as the imposter syndrome does. So as you enter this new role, I really want you to get out a notebook, like really go grab a notebook and write down all the wins now and in the future. You made it through the first day, write it down. You hung your first IV antibiotic alone. You identified an abnormal vital sign and sought appropriate intervention. You helped deliver a baby. You made someone's last moments on this earth as peaceful as possible. A family member thanks you. You are legitimately helpful in a code for the first time. A patient does better because of your care. All of those things are things you should be proud of. Whatever they are, whatever makes you proud, write it down. And when you need to drown out the imposter syndrome, keep those things around and read them. I keep nice notes. I keep all this good stuff in a folder, and on days when my imposter syndrome is like screaming at me, I pull it out and I read it, and that has helped me so much. It doesn't make it go away. But it does help. And that is about all the time we have for this particular chat. If you need a little bit more info on being like a new nurse, further pep talks, ways to handle imposter syndrome, what to kind of expect in the first 6 months, tips for new nurses, check out the description box. I've made a lot of videos on that and you can check them out there. And subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, or of my kids, or of my gardening, or my weird random hobbies I get into. There's a lot of them. And as always, I think a lot of times the best information about all this stuff actually comes from you. So if you are a more seasoned nurse watching this and you could tell your past new nurse self, does that make sense? I hope so. Anything, leave a comment down below with your insight that you wish you could have told your past self, and others can learn from you because you have wonderful information. And if you are a new grad nurse and you feel comfortable letting us know how you're feeling, let us know down below, because there is so much comfort in knowing that you are not alone and we're all in this together. Remember, you can do hard things. You got this. See you next time, guys. Bye.